And of course the other things, the dead rise, and they stroll about, water can be changed in the wine, and on the molecular level by a wink and a nod, snakes chat, and most importantly, and I'm truly awed by this entire thing, because it's not just God. It's not God by a long shot. This is an entire civilization of invisible, self-aware, non-human beings that these people claim they're in contact with. Oh, God, angels, saints, devils, demons, cherubs, golden cities, lakes of fire, this, that, the other thing, hell, they even have dictionaries of angels. And I'm surprised that Rand McNally hasn't contacted with the Vatican to publish a thorough street index map of heaven, complete with points of interest and eternity tips. These are your experts on atheism, and these are the people that we have let get away with it. Theists discussing atheism is the same thing as baboons discussing nanotechnology. Their arguments are senseless and amount to nothing more than personal attacks. Any argument based on atheism as a negative concept is groundless and serves merely as a defense mechanism used to justify their own religiously inspired abandonment of personal responsibility as they snuggle into a comforting flight from reason. What is negative about atheism? Well, what is it? Well, there's nothing negative about atheism. We live in a world of reality. Reality is extremely positive. Something we wake up to every day. We want to wake up to it every day. If reality was so negative, then why would they just kill themselves and get it over with? There's nothing negative about doubt, skepticism, asking questions, and demanding satisfactory answers, if there are such answers to be found. And if not, we keep probing and we keep asking. Because if we don't doubt, if we aren't skeptical, if we don't ask questions, when we merely accept, that's when you get burnt. That is when you are placed in a position to be taken to the intellectual and very often financial dry cleaners. Why should we as atheists demand anything less than was demanded by the New Testament Thomas? You all know doubting Thomas. He wanted to put his hands in Christ's womb before he was convinced that the man rose from the dead. Here's my hand. I'm waiting for the man to show me and place it in the womb. When it's there, I'll accept it. Recently, an article appeared in my local paper about how, I love this term. I don't know why they're so proud of this. How people of faith deal with doubt. And I read the article and jotted down a few notes to share with you here. First of all, again, the dictionary. I went and I found that Webster's defines doubt as uncertainty of belief or opinion. Specifically, the subjective state of being uncertain of the truth of a statement or the reality of an event as a result of incomplete knowledge or evidence. Sounds like a definition for atheism, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like the wicked, the profane, and the ungodly that you saw in the other part of the dictionary. So, to the atheist, as we said, people of faith dealing with doubt. To the atheist, doubt is not a problem. It's a valuable tool. In fact, within the sphere of free thought, which encompasses, I think, atheists, agnostics, humanists, rationalists, and even some Unitarians, doubt is extolled for its virtues. For it is by the virtue of doubt itself, skepticism, that falsehoods, no matter how widely held they may be, are ideally ferreted out and eventually abandoned. In reality, believers practice atheism all the time. We are all, believers and non-believers alike, skeptical to some degree or another about many things. We doubt the assertions of advertisers, salesmen, politicians, preachers, and so on. That is, upon hearing certain claims that are being made, we generally would like to know more about the product, the claim, or the proposal. That's how we buy our houses, our cars, our insurance, and other things that pertain to us. If we have doubts, then they need to be addressed. If it wasn't for this critical inquiry, which in my opinion, critical inquiry is the basis of sound atheist thinking, the potential environmental hazards of CFC, chlorofluorocarbon production, would not have been discovered. I want to share something with you. I'm sure Paul Sagan's book, Billions and Billions. In the book, he has a little anecdote about Don Hodel. Does anyone know who Don Hodel is? Don Hodel just resigned as the current president of the Christian Coalition. Man of great moral fortitude. The United States was pushing a ban on CFCs, and they worried that in order to increase the goal, anyway. Interior Secretary Don Hodel, a conservative Reagan appointee averse to government control, suggested the Montreal Protocol of scientists and thinkers that the way to deal with the CFC problem is that we all wear sunglasses and hats. Yeah. So much about Don Hodel. You know, our archaeological heritage may never been known to the extent it is if it wasn't for people who wanted to dig and find the truth. We still would probably believe that mental illness was the product of demons. We may never know that we revolve around the sun. DNA would continue to be 3 random, meaningless letters. But to the atheist, doubt is a vital tool, a blade to be polished and honed to cut away the nonsense, so that what is left is the real thing. I present atheism as a crucible by which impurities are burned away, leaving a pure substance. That substance being objective truth. Whether or not we are comfortable with that truth is irrelevant. But atheism, skepticism, doubt, they all have a proven track record of progress. This newspaper article, in fact, began with a sidebar saying that people troubled by a lack of faith have to recognize they're not alone and be willing to tackle the problem head on. Faith. Belief without evidence. If you don't subscribe to faith, there is a problem. So I reinterpreted the sidebar and rewrote it. And I said, well, gee, then what it's saying is that people troubled by an inability to blindly accept unsupportable, if not downright fantastic claims, well, they have a problem which is serious and must be addressed. If you find that the evidence to support a given claim is so woefully inadequate that you would have to literally be dishonest with yourself, then something is wrong, not with the claim, but with you. This is backwards thinking. So the article goes on to give you help aids to deal with this problem of doubt. A Catholic priest quoted in the article said to himself he was not happy with himself when he is doubting. He also broadly assumes that, and I quote, people who are doubting often have ignored God in their daily lives. Well, him or anyone else for that matter, I willingly submit an almost limitless list of contributions to society made by those who have successfully ignored God in their daily lives. Neither were these individuals troubled by their skepticism. Just to name 3, of course, the one who was named as the most influential person in the last 1,000 years, Thomas Edison, was a skeptic. Of course, Richard Feynman, the discoverers of DNA, among others. I don't see these people going out raping children or stealing your money. A pastor of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the article said that faith, that is, belief without evidence, causes you to have to disprove or disbelieve things you see, hear, and touch. Let me repeat this. Faith causes you to have to disprove or disbelieve things you see, hear, and touch. You see this gavel. You hear this gavel. And believe me, when this gavel hits your skull, you will feel this gavel. I don't care how much faith you don't or do not have. How does one ignore something you see, hear, and touch? Of course, observational claims, which are those things we see, hear, and touch, make up a vast majority of our verifiable knowledge, and to deny what is patently obvious and natural is to purposely distort reality. So unless one has a vested interest in distorting reality, no good can come from such an approach. Well, claims based upon authority carry very little weight to the skeptic and the atheist, and they are basically worthless. In fact, one of the most predatory positions I saw in this article was a fellow by the name of Reverend Carlos Ortiz, a pastor who wrote in the article that when he is approached by a person who has doubts, he looks for character flaws, personality disorders, or chronic worry. In other words, he looks for something to exploit. Here's another sick